I have some Bitcoin. Yeah, I think Bitcoin's greatest risk is its success.
적은 나야.
Saving money will make you rich.
Yeah, it never will. Why would you save it and why would you work for it if they can print it faster than you can work for it?
The owner of that and the owners still treated that as having value.
Why do you keep saving when they're printing it?
Personally, I'd rather have Bitcoin than a bond.
안녕하세요. 뉴욕개미입니다. 오늘은 비트코인에 관한 레이달리오의 로직을 한번 알아보도록 하겠습니다.
And the owner of that and the owners still treated that as having value. Yeah. So it's a funny thing. It's imputed value. It's not intrinsic value, okay? Intrinsic value is another thing. You have a house, you have a car, okay, that is intrinsic value. As you start to get to imputed value and so on, you're entering a different world.
Because this imputed value, I think, is a function of it's collective belief in many respects. Adoption certainly has grown, and in this year we've seen institutions like yours. I mean, I don't know whether you guys have actually bought any Bitcoin, but I certainly know that you're interested in it. We've certainly
I have some Bitcoin.
How important is that institutional buy-in from a political perspective? Does it impact the policy decisions going forward?
Yeah, I think Bitcoin's greatest risk is its success. Right now, it's not such a big deal. As it becomes a bigger deal and more of a threat, let's say people want to sell their bonds and they want to buy Bitcoin and they want to do that in a bigger way, like buying gold or something in a bigger way. And then there's more transaction. They lose control over that. And that's an existential risk. So yes, that's connected. The more we create savings in it, the more you might say, I'd rather have Bitcoin than the bond. Personally, I'd rather have Bitcoin than a bond. And then the more that happens, then it goes into Bitcoin and it doesn't go into credit, and then they lose control of it. So yeah, that's a risk.
I've got young daughters who are just leaving school for whom the future of zero interest rates, on what they're going to be earning over the years is just highly unattractive.
The problem with most people is if they didn't experience it, they don't understand it. If you were in the 20s, you're experiencing the 1920s and so on, and you cannot imagine what's ahead because it hadn't happened in your lifetime.
What does a smart portfolio look like?
Watch the total value of Bitcoin right now is a little over $1 trillion. Total value of bonds is about our bonds is U.S. dollar bonds, about $23 trillion and so on. Plot it on a chart and watch those things and watch the flows, because if you start to see that kind of thing, you could almost see, like the blow off and then that kind of reversal. Gold, if you take out central bank ownerships and if you take out jewelry from gold, then you have a bit over $5 trillion. So if you were to look at it now, person who wants a diversification of those two things, it's about, like 80-20 right now in the world. So that's something I'd watch too, but I think those things probably are going to rise relative to the bonds.
결론보다 더 중요한 것이 결론을 도출하는 방법입니다. 우리가 결론에 동의할지 말지가 여기에서 결정이 되기 때문입니다. 레이달리오의 생각은 이렇습니다. 현재 비트코인의 가치에 대해서 시장이 평가하는 부분이 1조 달러 정도, 금 전체 총량에서 중앙은행이 보유하는 부분을 빼고 장신구로 사용되는 부분을 제외하고 나면 금이 통화로서의 가지는 가치가 5조 달러 정도 됩니다. 그리고 미 국채 계속 찍어내고 있기는 하지만 미 국채가 대략 23조, 4조 달러 정도가 됩니다. 레이달리오는 바로 이 비율에 주목하고 있습니다. 비트코인과 골드가 대략 1조, 5조, 트레저리 본드가 23 트릴리언 달러로 보면 이 비율이 1대5, 그리고 이 둘을 합친 것의 비율이 6대 23, 24. 그래서 바로 20대 80, 28의 비율이 됩니다. 레이달리오의 주장은 미국 화폐의 가치가 점차 하락하면서 바로 이 비트코인과 골드가 합쳐진 이 부분의 가치가 상대적으로 더 높은 비율로 증가할 것으로 보고 있습니다. 여러분 여기 동의하십니까? 여러분의 의견을 코멘트에 답글로 남겨주시면 재미있는 토론이 될 것 같습니다.
Person who wants a diversification of those two things. It's about, like 80-20 right now in the world. But I think those things probably are going to rise relative to the bonds.
이번 동영상은 여기까지입니다. 동영상이 도움이 되셨다면 좋아요와 구독 버튼, 알림 설정을 눌러주시면 감사하겠습니다. 다음 영상에서는 코인 중의 코인의 제왕, 비트코인에 대해서 알아보도록 하겠습니다.
One ring to rule them all.
지금 코인이 전반적으로 조정을 받고 있어서 들어가기 좋은 기회인 것 같습니다. 다음 시간에는 이코노미스트 기사를 통해서 비트코인과 다른 코인을 비교해 보면서 왜 비트코인이 코인 중에 최강인지를 알아보도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.